Hey family, it's Tasha MAMABEAR prepping. You already know what time it is, baby. Get your drink, pull up, let's talk about it. So today, we're there again. We're talking about the railroad. You know, what is funny is last month I did a video on the railroad strike and how the timeline was coming to the day that they had left to do it. They had not come to an agreement. Everybody was talking about it. I had done a short earlier in the morning discussing it. I got chewed up on the short because, everybody was coming out like they've reached an agreement, check your facts. Just, they chewed me up on this short, right? And then I was like, dang, I got a video coming out in a few hours where a whole video of me talking about it. And these folks are telling me, hey, this is resolved, chewing me up in comments about basically, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm doing videos on old news, old information. And I let the video go because at the time of release, it was not done yet, okay? Videos come out at 2 and it wasn't resolved literally until the middle of the night is when they resolved it. And supposedly President Biden is the one that fixed it, came in and saved the day, right? So he goes in there and he brokers some sort of temporary a temporary truce, if you will, a temporary resolvement, okay, and goes in, supposedly saves the day, and everybody moves on like no big deal. And I had people that are like, yeah, my family member works for a railroad, they've come to an agreement. But this is what you have to understand. This is several unions. This isn't one single union and that's it. There's several unions that have to vote and have to agree, that are trying to agree. The strike is involving all of these. And if you guys have been paying attention, or if you've maybe seen on the news as of late, the last few days, one of the largest unions voted and they down-checked it. They're not accepting it, okay? And so this is going to this is one, it's in the media again, it's in the attention, it should have you concerned. They're not supposed to negotiate until November 19th, I think. So we have this whole time where leading up to holidays and things like that, you should be fine, things will be fine. The one thing I haven't been researching or seen is the effect on trains that travel with people, because that was a big piece of this. Is yes, it's supplies and getting supplies delivered, but there's also a huge traveling aspect to this, okay? And so November 19th, they're supposed to meet and they're supposed to come to a conclusion. But this week, I think it's the third largest union within the group of them that's like, no. And what's crazy is, it's, a lot of people are like, oh, they'd be crazy, because I think they brokered like a 25% raise over a period of years, right? And they were happy with that. But I guess the consensus after researching stuff is it's not so much the pay that has them concerned, it's the benefits. And I guess the biggest complaint, or the stuff that the angriest people are expressing that they're mad about, is these days off, paid days off, having days off. I guess it's a very rigorous not company, but trade, right? And they work them. There's a piece of quality of life. And so obviously we're not there. I don't know what that quality of life is. Maybe those that work in the railroad that watch this, or have family members that work in the railroad that watch this, can share with us in the chat what it is exactly. When you read stuff, the only thing they really bring up is the paid days off. Like, for example, I think they said they asked for 5 paid days off, and what was brought to the table was 1 paid day off. And these women and men are working hard, right, to deliver stuff, to just hardcore, right? And just to say, oh, 1 day off, 1 paid day off. I mean, it's just, so it's quality of life stuff that they're upset about. It's the benefits packages that they're upset about. It's not necessarily the pay, because a lot of people are like, there's no way they're going to, decline that. Well, they are, okay? Out of several unions, 3 have, said they're on board. But for example, it was about a 60-40 split on this one that voted this week. And you have several others that are behind them that don't have it. And it's a brotherhood. It's a, well, we say union, but all the unions are different, but the railroad unions do stick together. And there's a lot of them that if one strikes, or one doesn't agree, that the other ones are very strong with not crossing the line. So let's say one, does say it's voted and it voted yes and it's good. Well, if there's others that have held out, then they might not cross that picket line, even though as a union they agreed that they would accept the terms. Okay, so you just don't know. Let me see what all my notes I wrote you guys. So this one, the Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way Employees, they're like the third largest, and there's another one. So there's basically two that are for sure hardcore holding out right now. I mentioned about if one crosses, the others won't go. It's the benefits. So 4 unions have voted to ratify, meaning they've agreed, but there's at least 2 that are holding out. And then they're not going to resume until November 19th. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, it's the same thing like before that we talked about and why we put this information out. And it's one that you know and understand what's happening, right? It's not something to lose sleep over. I'm absolutely not losing sleep over the railroad. But it is making me think about, okay, Christmas. How will this affect Christmas? But again, it might not, because we've already been in the thought process because of the supply chain issues that it would behoove you to get ahead of Christmas as much as you can. Now, I understand inflation is a big part of that. It takes money to be able to buy stuff ahead of time. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd be buying stuff all the way up to the last minute, okay? But be ready to change stuff. Maybe you do everything through Amazon or ordering, and you need to understand that stuff might take away, especially if you're trying to get like a specialized item from a specialized place that you know has to travel like that. Especially coast to coast, and you need to be thinking about, okay, those are the items you might want to get ahead of getting and buying. I know a lot of people are pulling back from Christmas completely as far as the amount of stuff they're buying, the amount of gifts, right? They're doing more homemade stuff, that type of thing. So that's fine, right? Do that. But some folks are not. Some folks are still blessed. They're still going to do some sort of Christmas. They're still going to buy presents. So you're doing this to understand that those timelines. There could be a strike if something, come the 19th of November, right before Thanksgiving, if they can't come to an agreement, how will that maybe affect you? Both traveling by train, people who travel for work on a train, and then of course the supply, right? And the time frame is already bad when you're trying to, it's Christmas time, and you're already contending with everybody else that's trying to buy certain products like you are. Like, I can't imagine what Black Friday is going to look like. I think Black Friday is going to look pretty good in the sense of you have a lot of companies who have a lot of product that people have not been buying that they absolutely have to push. They have to push, or those companies are going to go under. And so you're going to have great sales probably on clothing, right? Retail type items, smaller things. You're gonna have a push on that, and it's gonna be probably pretty good prices. So get that stuff. Think about, what do you have local? If you had to just go local and get all your Christmas presents local. Some people already do that, so it's no big deal. But think about, try not to wait last minute, because those companies might not get the stuff. If there's a strike, then that company might not be able, even though it's a local store, might not be able to stock their shelves, okay? It's something like $2 billion that gets lost if the railroads go down, And I know it's a big deal, and there's a very good chance that, what railroad wants to strike during the holidays? But it also would make a huge impact on people and get people's attention, which they're obviously trying to do. They're obviously like, give us what we want, or we're going to strike, okay? And so I don't know how them doing it during the holidays or right before the holidays start will affect their voting, I guess you could say. So nothing to be upset about, nothing to lose sleep over, but just understand that it is happening. It's not over. the White House would, when they talk about it during their little White House presses and stuff, they downplay it seriously. Like, oh, well, we'll still be fine. It doesn't matter if there's unions that are out, there's unions that are in, and, one or two unions don't mean anything, right? So it meant something last time, right? So a lot of people had voted prior to it being an issue last time, and there was one or two, and it was an issue all the way down to the wire, and it supposedly took the president to go in. Now, can Congress jump in? Yes, they can jump in. Would something like right before the holidays be an issue and be a reason for them to do so? I don't know, It's going to be interesting to watch. I'm going to just try my best. Money is tight, just like it is for you, okay? We're not rolling in money over here. So it's going to be hard for us to when I sit here and tell you, hey, buy your Christmas stuff early, buy your stuff early. That takes budgeting, that takes thought process of moving stuff around to be able to do that for some families. And some families, that's not even an option, right? So do what you can do, okay? Be well. Life is good. Life is not about presents and all that stuff. But this could have a huge impact and be a huge hit to our already very, very fragile supply chain issues, okay, that we're already running into. We're already running into issues of crops, right? And the amount of crops. And then imagine the trains that carry, cargo, large, cargo of that crop, and then the crop can't even be picked up. So you have the little or less amount of crops being grown or being able to be grown, and then you get to a point where if there's some sort of strike, those trains aren't even picking that stuff up. They're not picking the grains up. They're not picking up, those big cars full of, fruits and vegetables. They're not doing that. So what happens to that food? It goes bad, you guys. Yes, those farmers will try to outsource and get it to where it needs to go in other ways. But I tell you, baby, not everybody's going to be able to do that. Okay. And so you're going to have a lot of loss if this does turn into something. So just keep your ears open, pay attention, and be paying attention around November 19th to see how this plays out. All right, so blessings from my bear cave to yours. Thank you for hanging out with me today in the chat. Happy Monday, and I hope you guys stay well and have a great day. Take care. Bye.